It's a video of the World War II lecture. Basically wanted to point out a couple things in these notes. First of all is the title slide visual. It reads provocative, controversial, World War II attack without warning. This thesis is arguable. You could say there was quite a few warning signs that this war was going to be happening, whether you look at the Treaty of Versailles and whether you look at the failure of the League of Nations to respond to rising German aggression or lack of response to Japan in the Pacific. There were quite a few warning signs. The important introductory thought here, though, is this. This is the swastika, symbol of the Nazi Party. This is the flag of Japan, which is a rising sun. These symbolize the two key players that caused World War II. Notice the color, red, because this war is particularly bloody. As you're going through the slideshow, hopefully you filled in the blanks, as I suggested earlier. The main goal here is to introduce key World War II terminology and highlight the most important ideas from World War II. Remember, we will be taking open note. There may be open note quizzes to assess the learning. We'll see. Maybe there'll be a spot to respond. I'm not sure. Just make sure you're following and understanding it the best you can. Okay, Hitler's Empire. Here we see Hitler's goal was to create the Third Reich. Reich means empire. Hitler's main goal, at least so he stated, was to unite all the German-speaking people through policies of race and space. Race meant all this Aryan pureblood language that we saw during the Holocaust. We have to keep the German bloodlines pure, so we have to get any non-Germans out. This is their specious theory. We talked about the flaws of that when we studied the Holocaust. Hitler wanted to create Lebensraum, or living space, for the German people. Of course, all people need living space, so this was just an excuse. But the rationale is with a large amount of land, the Germans could easily spread out. Notice the word Lebensraum here, associated with farm, country, spreading out. And then you have the icons of the Third Reich. You have a golden eagle. You have the swastikas. And a lot of Nazi imagery. Okay. Slide 2. German aggression. As things move forward, if you can remember race and space, you'll understand most of the Nazi philosophy underlying World War II, race and space. Just try to remember those two things. Everything else kind of follows from that. In 1935, Hitler moved troops into the Rhineland. This is a demilitarized or no military allowed zone right between France and Germany. In addition, they started rearming weapons in the Rhineland. Both of these acts violated the Treaty of Versailles, but the League of Nations, especially France, didn't try to stop Germany from doing this. Why? None of the countries want to go to war again. But here's the problem. You're teaching Hitler that when he's aggressive, he can keep doing what he's doing. And this encourages him to be further aggressive. This is the Germans. I think they're making planes. I think those are planes. And this is an assembly line. Can't quite tell. But notice the propaganda here. See the swastika, the blonde German, trying to build a strong Germany. And it shows that League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles is starting to fall apart. In 1938, Hitler sends troops into Austria to create a German-Austrian union known as Anschluss. Anschluss is the annexation of Austria. Annex means to take or join, add or unite. The rationale for Anschluss was to unite the German-speaking people of Austria with Germany. League of Nations again did not respond. So what does Hitler learn? He's aggressive. Nothing's going bad is going to happen. So he becomes even more aggressive. By the way, there was a lot of Nazis in Austria. Hitler was born in Austria. There's a lot of anti-Semitism in Austria. So this union wasn't totally opposed by Austrians, though some did. A lot did support it. Okay, German aggression. Again, the League of Nations really wasn't effective at stopping the Germans. So, anyway, in September 1938, sorry, my allergies acting up a little bit. Hitler announced that he wanted to be part of Czechoslovakia, called the Sudetenland. See this part in orange? It's called the southern land, southern part of Germany. And the Sudetenland contained 3 million German-speaking people. And this fit his Lebensraum theory of uniting all German-speaking people. So there was this conference at Munich, and France and Britain and Germany meet to decide the fate of the Sudetenland. Czechoslovakia, Austria, Poland, Hungary, these were all recreated after the Treaty of Versailles. So a lot of these territories were relatively new nation states because Austria-Hungary had been split up, Russia had been split up, Germany had been split up to varying degrees. So are they going to stand up to the Germans and show them we're going to draw the line in Czechoslovakia? What's the West going to do? Well, as you might have guessed, the West gives in to Hitler. British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain infamously appeases Hitler by giving him the Sudetenland in return for peace. So the Western nations still had not attempted to stop Hitler's aggression. 6 months later, no surprise, you don't stand up to a bully, the bully keeps coming. Hitler invades and occupies all of Czechoslovakia. At this point, Britain and France think war is inevitable. They ask the Soviets if they'll join them in an alliance against the Germans. Soviets think about it, but then they remembered what happened. During the Russian Civil War, the West supported the whites, meaning the non-communists. During World War I, the Russians left the war early, but they're not really given their land back as part of the alliance, so they decide not to join with the Allies. Instead, the Soviets decide to align with the Nazis, what's known as the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact. Still, this is a mistake for the Soviets because in Hitler's Mein Kampf, he openly states that the unholy trinity are the communists, the Jews, and democracies, meaning he was never going to be fully aligned with the communists. But nonetheless, the Nazis and the Soviets signed what's known as the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact. This is not a formal peace treaty or alliance. It's just an agreement not to attack each other. The pact stated that neither would declare war on the other. It also secretly stated that the Germans would get the western part of Poland and the Russians the eastern part. They take it in September 1939. This image shows you that Stalin did not trust Hitler, and Hitler did not trust Stalin. It also shows you that the Nazis were eyeing the Soviet oil fields. Hitler did not really want to have to worry about fighting a two-front war. That was a disaster for the Germans in World War I. Remember the whole von Schlieffen plan that failed? Anyway, so they were trying to avoid that mistake. And in September by securing their eastern border by having a non-aggression pact with the Soviets. September 1939, Hitler invades Poland. Then the month Poland is conquered. As a result, Britain and France finally respond by declaring war on Germany, and World War II had begun. This shows you they didn't really trust each other. Though Stalin was buying more into Hitler, Hitler was buying into Stalin because
You could tell this because Stalin had been killing some leading generals in his army up until this time. All right, at this time, you should be answering slide 8 and calling it a day. Write down what you see and what the message is. And that'll conclude this slideshow. Video. And that should take care of page 1.